So, from a practical place of Om, there are 3 different sounds that move through it. It is sometimes spelled A-U-M, and that's the easiest way to remember what the 3 sounds are, but once you start doing it, it will be easy. So there is a gliding sound that moves through this. It starts with sort of an open sound of an or an O, and then it transitions into the U, and then it finishes with the And as you're practicing it, you want to have nice full breaths, kind of keep everything open because that keeps energy moving as well. And you want the sound itself to be as long as it can be without you feeling like you're gasping for air. So it sounds a little bit like this. So that's a way of working with it when you're working with it in the beginning. We want to use all of the different places that we can to focus. The sound and the vibration of the sound itself really is the primary. So it's nice in the beginning to kind of explore some of the different sensations and some of the different other ways to play with it. But you're wanting to eventually start to sort of rein your awareness in so that it's really playing with the sound itself. We want to be as relaxed as possible. We're not forcing this. We're just trying to open ourselves into the sound. And we also want to understand that as it starts to unfold, there can also be some other experiences that come from it as well. Because as we relax into that outer state, that other things can start happening inside. You're really going to be witnessing the movement of a lot of different energies and vibrations. So while you're holding on to the Om, while you're really focusing on the Om, inside the power of your consciousness, the part that is removing the karma for you, may also display some of the energetic properties of the karma that is coming up. And sometimes that will come up in terms of being able to see sort of colors inside, little images, little movies of things that come up, and even more spiritual altered states of consciousness experiences can come from it as well. None of those things are something that we're chasing after, but they are part of something that can happen. And we just sort of embrace them when they come up, and we don't think that we're doing anything wrong if they don't happen. But we stay with that. If those kinds of things do come up, if you're really just pulled into something, then there may be no choice but you just to go into it. But otherwise, you keep coming back to the sound. You understand that that is karma moving, that that is something just being released. It's not important. You want it to go. You want to stay relaxed and be as comfortable as possible while you do it. And the mind will come in and try its little tricks on you. So like I said, this is about turning our awareness away from the mind. So the mind is not really very happy about what you're going to be doing, although there can be times where it becomes very attached to the idea, which can actually be beneficial in some ways as long as you're able to relax into the process. But we don't want the mind to distract us from the practice or to create an attachment that would cause it to not be beneficial for us. So the mind itself, when you start looking at the way that our experience is created, the mind and the ego structure is really created from the karmas themselves. So the ego is really just a bundle of karmas. And as those karmas disappear, the ego also starts to lose its sense of reality. And this is an aspect of the spiritual growth process. So the ego believes itself to be real. And if you remove all of its karmas, then it will die. And it doesn't want that. So it's kind of like a 3-year-old child in some ways, and that it's going to throw little tantrums about stuff. And if you give into it, then like the 3-year-old child who throws a tantrum, it learns how to play you. If you don't give into it, if you let yourself stay and witness and think of that as the karma itself, which is really what it is, as an energy that's just moving in your experience, but you don't give it a true reality and you just kind of let it wash through and understand that it really doesn't mean anything, then it's going to say, okay, well that didn't work. It's going to throw it out. That's when the karma goes. And then it's going to come back and say, well, what can I try now? And it's going to keep trying different things to distract you. Your job is to stay focused on the sound. It will sometimes come up with something. But in the process of doing this, you can learn to also witness the mind if it's there as movement of vibration happening inside. And don't give it any reality. Just say, okay, the mind is thinking, Om. Don't let it pull you out of your experience. But it's going to try a lot of different things, and it's going to even tell you things like, this practice that you're doing, this is stupid. This is really boring. When is this going to be over? It's going to come up with all of these ways to try to pull you out of doing something that's good for you, the real self, and not good for it. And you have to understand that that's the process that's happening and not get into it.